In this video, I aim to explore some of the more frequently used sound effects or sound edits in horror trailers. Each sound of course has a purpose and can be used in multiple ways, and I'll try and explore that particular point in detail. Perhaps the most obvious sound used in all trailers is dialogue.
Where'd you get this? On the shelf.
Seeing our characters combined with hearing them speak helps us get to know them. Sure, simple enough. However, the dialogue in trailers is very specifically picked to help tell the story. The dialogue used may give us direct story information, such as this example from Crimson Peak.
Ghosts are real. I've seen them all my life.
Ghosts? I never imagined that's what you wrote about.
Or they may simply introduce us to the character and the type of person they are, as well as give a sense of the film's mood, such as this speech from Pentecost in the Pacific Rim trailer.
Today, at the edge of our hope, at the end of our time, we have chosen to believe in each other. Today we face the monsters that are at our door. Today we are canceling the apocalypse.
Dialogue could be straight up synchronous diegetic. We see the character talk, words come out. However, the sound could also be asynchronous diegetic or voiceover. The speech could be played over shots in which we can't see the character, but could still come from another scene in the film in which the character is actually seen speaking. An example is this scene from the Crimson Peak trailer.
And these rotting walls. In the dark. There are secrets everywhere.
The speech begins as synchronous diegetic, but then as we move on to the other shots, the voice continues, used to complement the images on screen, and thus provide a much quicker sense of context. Anyone watching the full movie probably has the context already. Moving on to music in horror trailers, it varies quite a lot, but there's usually some trends that run throughout. Horror music is generally quite difficult to listen to. It might be out of tune, or generally just quite jarring sounds in the overall composition. Some examples of music composed for horror specifically are as follows. Some examples from actual trailers are here also, but they may be a bit harder to isolate, hence me giving you the prior examples. Take a listen to this.
Hello again.
Are you ready?
It can't hurt you.
Horror music will often sound like a parody of something innocent, such as a nursery rhyme or a music box. This horrible example from The Babadook stuck with me for a while.
You'll know he's around. You'll see him if you look.
Nothing bad's gonna happen.
As stated in many of my other pages on this site, people naturally fear something that they think should be one way, only for it actually to be a different thing entirely.
You promised to protect me.
These juxtapositions often create unsettling noises. However, some horror music simply goes for a jarring array of strings and other sounds to make the piece physically uncomfortable to listen to. A repeating pattern is often used in the music, as it offers no resolution for the audience, as seen in this fantastic score for The Thing, a 1982 sci-fi horror film by John Carpenter. Unpredictable patterns of sounds are also used, as the human brain finds irregularity jarring and harder to process than a constant rhythm. This soundscape from Incompetech is a good example of this. Some sounds are not technically music, but are also non-diegetic sounds which tie into the music in order to convey a particular mood. For example, in the Insidious trailer, the flickering text is punctuated by strange and not quite identifiable sounds which resemble static in some places, and in others just sound unsettling. Which is the point. These sounds are designed to represent the mood of the film by being uncomfortable to listen to. The deep rumbling sounds at the beginning of the Crimson Peak trailer have a similar effect. More of these sounds are seen in the trailer for Oculus, another recent horror film. One thing horror music loves to do is crescendo at scary moments. This is an auditory signal to the audience that something scary is about to happen, and often sets up for a jump scare. The volume steadily builds to ready us for the prospect of a loud and sudden scare. Again, whilst I personally dislike the overuse of jump scare tactics, my thoughts on this practice don't change the fact that it's a very popular one in the modern horror scene. I mean, used effectively, a jump scare is great. It's an excellent way to release tension. Some sounds will be enhanced in trailers to place an emphasis or a weight on the synchronous action to which they're tied. For example, in the trailer for The Babadook, the sound of Amelia snatching up the photograph is enhanced for emphasis, as the action has both a physically fast motion and an emotional weight to it. It's an important action, and enhancing the sound highlights the frantic nature of Amelia's actions as she grabs the picture. Another example comes yet again from the trailer for Crimson Peak. The rattling of the keys is enhanced to emphasise the motion as the woman withdraws them. Enhanced sounds help highlight important actions in the story and to draw our attention where it's needed.
We took Tri-Field and EMF readings of the whole house.
Finally, there's a plethora of sounds that have become intrinsically linked with the horror genre. First, screaming. It's truly a challenge nowadays to try and find a horror trailer that doesn't have one of these bad boys in it. Other popular sounds include enhanced voices, to make a monster or antagonist seem more unnatural, seen in Insidious and The Babadook.
You can bring me the boy. You can bring me the boy.
Footsteps, seen all over the place. And finally, things that go bump in the night. Thanks for listening. I promise there's not a jump scare at the end of the video. Had you fooled there for a moment, right? Anyway, see you later.